Before we dive into this story, if you're into real experiences from Coast Guard rescue operations that never make it into official reports, hit that subscribe button. Drop a like if you want more maritime content. And I'm really curious, where are you watching from and what time is it there? Comment below. What I'm about to share happened 8 months ago in the Pacific, and it's the reason I requested transfer to desk duty after 12 years as a rescue swimmer. Let's get into it. I've been a Coast Guard rescue swimmer for 12 years, stationed out of Air Station San Francisco. If you don't know what that means, we're the ones who jump out of helicopters into the ocean to save people. Fishermen in storms, cruise ship passengers who went overboard, sailors from capsized vessels, surfers caught in riptides. If you're in the water and dying, we're coming for you. The training is brutal. They call it Superman School because by the end, you're expected to be able to swim miles in rough seas, tread water for hours in full gear, carry unconscious people while fighting currents, and make life or death decisions in seconds. The washout rate is around 80%. Most people can't handle it. I loved it. Every rescue was a puzzle. Wind conditions, water temperature, victim's condition, helicopter fuel constraints. You had to think fast, move faster, and never panic no matter what the ocean threw at you. In 12 years, I'd completed 147 rescues, saved 203 lives, lost count of how many times I'd jumped into conditions that should have killed me. But there was one area we never went, one section of the Pacific where the rules were different. We called it Sector 9. Officially, it didn't have a designation. It was just a roughly 100 square mile area about 80 miles off the California coast. But every rescue swimmer, every pilot, every crew member knew about it. We just didn't talk about it with outsiders. The first time I heard about Sector 9 was during my initial posting to San Francisco. I was 23, fresh out of training, eager to prove myself. My senior swimmer, a guy named Marcus Webb with 15 years of experience, was showing me the operational maps. "This is your jurisdiction," he said, circling a huge area of the Pacific. Everything from the coast to about 200 miles out, north to the Oregon border, south to Monterey. You'll fly these waters every shift. What about there? I pointed to a blank spot on the map, about 80 miles offshore. No depth markers, no notations, just empty blue. Webb's expression changed. "That's Sector 9. We don't go there. Why not? Restricted military zone? No, we just don't go there. If we get a distress call from those coordinates, we mark it as received and report it to command. But we don't respond." "That's insane. If someone's dying out there, they're already dead," Webb interrupted. "Everyone who goes into Sector 9 is already dead. We learned that the hard way." He wouldn't explain further. Said I'd understand eventually. Said some things you had to experience yourself before you'd believe them. I thought he was hazing me, messing with the new guy. But over the next few weeks, I noticed things. Whenever our flight path took us near Sector 9's boundaries, the pilots would alter course. Whenever dispatch mentioned coordinates in that area, there would be long silences on the radio. And once, I overheard 2 senior officers arguing about whether to send a helicopter toward Sector 9 coordinates. They ultimately decided against it. After 3 months, I asked Webb again, "What's really out there?" He was quiet for a moment. Then, "You know how rescue swimmers are trained to recover bodies? How we're supposed to bring back everyone we can, alive or dead?" "Yeah. In Sector 9, the bodies retrieve themselves." "What does that mean?" "It means if you pull a corpse from those waters, it's not just a corpse anymore. It means the ocean in that sector does something to people, changes them, and whatever comes back isn't what went in." He paused. 47 years ago, a fishing vessel went down in Sector 9, storm conditions, all hands lost. Coast Guard recovered 12 bodies over the next 3 days. All 12 were brought back to shore. And within 24 hours, all 12 had to be destroyed, burned. Some while they were still moving. I laughed nervously. Come on, that's an urban legend. Check the archives. 1977, April 15th. Fishing vessel Mary Catherine. 12 crew recovered. 12 crew disposed of. The incident was classified, files sealed, but everyone in the Coast Guard above a certain level knows about it. That's why we don't retrieve bodies from Sector 9 anymore. Dead or alive, anything that comes out of those waters stays in those waters. I did check the archives, found the incident report. Most of it was redacted, but what remained confirmed the basic facts. Vessel lost, bodies recovered, and then a notation that made my blood run cold. Biohazard containment failure. All specimens destroyed per Protocol 7. Protocol 7 didn't exist in any official Coast Guard documentation I could find. Over the years, I heard more stories. A cruise ship passenger who fell overboard in Sector 9 and was pulled out 3 hours later, not breathing, skin blue, eyes open and unblinking. The rescue crew said his body was wrong. Too cold, too stiff, but still mobile. Moving in ways corpses don't move. He'd been thrown back into the ocean before the helicopter even reached shore. A sailboat that drifted into Sector 9 and went silent. When found, the boat was intact but empty. No signs of struggle, no blood, nothing. Just 3 sets of wet footprints leading from below deck, across the deck, and into the ocean. As if the crew had calmly walked into the water together. A Navy submarine that reported sonar contacts in Sector 9. Thousands of them. Moving in formation. Rising from depths that shouldn't support life. When command asked what they were, the sonar operator said, "They look like people. Standing upright. Walking along the ocean floor. All facing the same direction. All walking toward shore." The submarine was ordered to leave the area immediately and never discuss what they'd seen. These were the stories, passed around in whispers, never confirmed, never officially acknowledged, but persistent enough that everyone treated Sector 9 like it was radioactive. And for 11 years, I never had to deal with it. We'd get maybe 2 or 3 distress calls per year from those coordinates, always logged and ignored. Whatever happened in Sector 9 stayed in Sector 9. Until 8 months ago. It was a routine patrol. Me, my pilot Lieutenant Sarah Chen, flight mechanic Garcia, and a junior swimmer on his first real deployment named Danny Morrison. We were covering standard search patterns, checking on fishing vessels, monitoring weather conditions. Around 2 p.m., dispatch came through. Rescue 7, we have a distress call from civilian vessel Pacific Runner. Engine failure, taking on water. 4 souls on board. Coordinates 37.8 north, 123.4 west. I punched the coordinates into our GPS. Felt my stomach drop. Sector 9, right in the middle of it. Dispatch, Rescue 7, Chen responded. Those coordinates are in Sector 9. Request clarification. Silence, then Rescue 7, coordinates confirmed. Vessel is actively sinking. 4 souls in immediate danger. Chen looked back at me. I could see the conflict in her face. We had a standing policy about Sector 9, but we also had 4 people dying out there. Dispatch, Rescue 7, requesting command decision. These are Sector 9 coordinates. Another silence, longer this time. Then a different voice came through. Senior Command. Rescue 7, you are cleared to respond. Rescue only. No body recovery. Repeat, no body recovery. Extract survivors and return immediately. Do not remain in Sector 9 longer than necessary. Copy that, dispatch. En route. Garcia caught my eye. This is a bad idea. We've got 4 people sinking, I said. We can't just let them die. We let people die in Sector 9 all the time. There's a reason for that. The reason is bullshit. Ocean superstition. We're trained professionals. We follow the rules. The rule is we don't go into Sector 9. Command just authorized it. Command doesn't know what they're authorizing. But we were already flying toward the coordinates. Chen pushed the helicopter to maximum speed. 20 minutes to Sector 9's boundary. Another 10 to the distress coordinates. As we approached, I noticed the water changing. Not dramatically, but subtly. The color shifted. From the normal blue-green of Pacific waters to something darker. Almost gray. And the surface was too calm. No waves, no chop, just glassy smoothness that looked wrong. Anyone else seeing this? Chen asked. Water's dead, Garcia said. No movement at all. Winds at 15 knots, but the surface isn't responding. Temperature readings? I asked. Morrison checked his instruments. Water temp reading 48 degrees. Air temp 62. That's odd. Water should be warmer than that this time of year. Depth? 3,000 feet according to charts. But sonar's having trouble getting a good reading, getting weird echoes, like there's something dense between us and the bottom. Dense like what? Dense like, I don't know, like there's a layer of something in the water. Something that's blocking the sonar. We reached the distress coordinates. Below us, I could see the Pacific Runner. 40-foot cabin cruiser, listing heavily to starboard. Stern already underwater, and on the deck, 4 people, waving frantically. 4 souls confirmed, Chen reported. Vessel is going down, commencing rescue operations. I suited up, checked my gear. Wetsuit, harness, safety line, knife, flotation device. Standard rescue loadout. Morrison was doing the same beside me, trying to hide his nervousness. First real rescue? I asked him. Yeah, just follow my lead. I'll get the first 2 up, you assist from below, then we'll tag team the other 2. Simple extraction. Why does the water look like that? I glanced out at the gray, glassy surface. Algae bloom, maybe. Temperature gradient, doesn't matter. We get in, get them, get out. The helicopter hovered 50 feet above the sinking vessel. I clipped into the hoist line. Ready? Chen asked over comms. Ready, deploy. The winch lowered me toward the water. I watched the Pacific Runner get closer. The 4 people were still waving, but something about their movement seemed off. Too synchronized, too mechanical. I hit the water feet first, unclipped from the line, and swam toward the vessel. The water felt wrong immediately. Too cold, yes, but also thick, like swimming through something more viscous than water. And it was completely silent. No sound of waves, no ambient ocean noise, just eerie quiet. I reached the vessel and grabbed the rail. Coast Guard rescue. I'm here to get you out. The 4 people, 2 men, 2 women, all in their 30s or 40s, looked down at me. Their faces were strange, pale, wet. But they'd been in the water, that made sense. Except they weren't in the water. They were on deck, completely dry except for their hair. We need to go, one of the men said. His voice was flat, emotionless. The water wants us. That's why I'm here, I said. We're getting you out. I need you to come down here one at a time. I'll harness you up and the helicopter will lift you. No, the woman said. You don't understand. The water wants us. It's calling us. Ma'am, your boat is sinking. You need to come with me now. We tried to leave, the second man said. We tried to sail away, but the water wouldn't let us. It made the engine fail. It's calling us. Can't you hear it? I couldn't hear anything, just that eerie silence. Sir, I need you to focus. Come down to me. We're going to get you to safety. The first man started climbing down the ladder. Good progress, but his movements were strange, too smooth, like he was gliding rather than climbing. He reached the water level and stopped, looked at me with eyes that didn't blink. It's beautiful down there, he said. So beautiful, so quiet. No pain, no fear, just peace, forever peace. Sir, I need you to take my hand. He reached out. His hand was ice cold, not just cold from the water, corpse cold. But he was moving, talking, definitely alive. I clipped the harness around him, signaled the helicopter. The winch engaged, starting to pull him up. And that's when I felt it. Something in the water below me. Something large, moving. I looked down through the gray water, saw shapes. Dozens of them, hundreds of them, standing upright, down in the depths, looking up at us. Looking up at me. Morrison, I said into my radio, trying to keep my voice steady. Are you seeing this? Jesus Christ, Morrison breathed. What are those? They were people, or they had been people, standing on the ocean floor 3,000 feet down, where the pressure should have crushed them instantly. All facing upward, all perfectly still, all watching. The first survivor was halfway to the helicopter when I felt the pull. Not physical. Not like a current or undertow. Something else. A pressure in my head. A voice that wasn't a voice. More like a thought that wasn't mine. Come down, come see, come understand. Control, I'm seeing multiple contacts in the water below my position, I reported, trying to keep my voice professional. Hundreds of them, they appear to be humanoid. Standing upright on the ocean floor, depth 3,000 feet. Rescue 7, please clarify. Are you reporting survivors in the water? Negative. I'm reporting. I don't know what I'm reporting. But there's something down there, a lot of somethings. Chen's voice cut in. First survivor secured. Sending Morrison down for second extraction. I looked up. The man I'd just sent up was being pulled into the helicopter. But something was wrong with the way he was moving. His body was limp, but his head was turned, looking back down at the water. At me, and he was smiling. Morrison splashed down beside me, swam to the boat. What the hell are those things down there? He whispered. I don't know. Just focus on the rescue. We need to get these people and get out of here. The second survivor, one of the women, came down the ladder. Her movements were the same as the first man's. Too smooth, too deliberate. When she reached the water level, she stopped and looked at me. They're waiting for you, she said. They've been waiting for so long. Do you know how long they've been waiting? Ma'am, I need you to let me harness you. Since the beginning. Since the first ships crossed this ocean. Since the first people fell into these waters. They've been collecting, gathering, building. And now they're almost ready. Ready for what? To come back. To return. To reclaim what was taken from them. Morrison had the harness on her. We signaled the helicopter. As she was lifted, she kept talking. You can feel it, can't you? The call, the invitation. They want you to join them. They want all of us to join them. It's peaceful down there. No oxygen, no pressure, no pain. Just existence. Forever. She was pulled into the helicopter. 2 down, 2 to go. The shapes below were moving now. Not walking, just shifting, repositioning, like they were gathering directly beneath us. I could feel them down there. Feel their attention focused upward. Come down. Come see. Come understand. Come home. Morrison, You getting weird thoughts? I asked. Yeah, like something's whispering in my head, telling me to let go, to sink down and see what's there. Ignore it, it's just hypoxia or panic. Focus on the rescue. But I didn't believe that. Whatever was down there was intelligent, aware, and it was trying to communicate with us. The third survivor, the second man, refused to come down the ladder. I can't leave, he said. If I leave the boat, I'll have to go down there. And if I go down there, I'll become like them. Sir, your boat is sinking. You need to come with us now. You don't understand. The boat is the only thing keeping us safe. As long as we're on the boat, the water can't claim us. But if we go into the water, he looked down at me. You're in the water right now. Can you feel it? Can you feel them pulling at you? I could, like invisible hands grasping my ankles, tugging gently downward, inviting me deeper. Morrison, come up here, the man said. Both of you, get on the boat. Don't stay in the water. Sir, the boat is sinking. We need to... The boat lurched. The stern went completely under, and suddenly the deck was at a 45-degree angle. The two remaining survivors slid toward the water. The second man grabbed the rail, held on. But the woman, the fourth survivor, couldn't catch herself. She slid across the wet deck and plunged into the water beside Morrison. She didn't surface. Morrison dove after her immediately. Standard rescue response. Victim goes under. You go under too. I followed him down. The water was darker below the surface. That gray color intensified to almost black. But I could see the woman. She wasn't struggling, wasn't trying to swim, just sinking. Arms at her sides, eyes open, watching us as she descended. Morrison reached her, grabbed her arm, tried to pull her up. She smiled at him. Let me go, she said. And underwater somehow I could hear her voice clearly. Let me go down. They're beautiful. Can't you see them? They're beautiful and they want us to join them. I grabbed Morrison's harness, started pulling him up. He had the woman, but she wasn't helping. She was dead weight, sinking, pulling us down with her. And below us the figures were rising, slowly, impossibly, walking up through the water. Dozens of them now, hundreds, pale shapes moving in perfect synchronization, all ascending toward us. Abort! I screamed into my radio. Morrison, let her go! We need to surface now. I've got her, I can. The woman's other hand shot out and grabbed Morrison's throat. Her grip was impossibly strong for someone who should have been drowning. She pulled him closer, smiled wider. Join us, she said. Join us in the peace. Her eyes weren't human anymore. They were white, completely white. And her skin was taking on that same gray color as the water. I pulled my knife, cut the harness holding her to Morrison. She dropped away, still smiling, still watching us as she sank back towards the rising figures. Morrison and I broke the surface, gasping. What the fuck was that? Morrison panted. What the fuck was she? I don't know. Get to the line. We're leaving. The helicopter had lowered the hoist line. I clipped Morrison in first, signaled Chen to pull him up. As the winch engaged, I looked back at the boat. The second man was still clinging to the rail. The vessel was almost completely underwater now. He was shouting something, but I couldn't hear him over the helicopter. The hoist came back down. I swam to the boat one last time. Sir, this is your last chance. Come with me or you're going down with the ship. He shook his head violently. I can't go in the water. If I go in the water, I'll become like them. Like Sarah did. Did you see her eyes? Did you see what she was becoming? That was shock and hypothermia. We can treat that on the helicopter, but you need to come now. The boat gave its final lurch. The man lost his grip, plunged into the water beside me. He didn't surface. I dove after him, found him 10 feet down. He wasn't swimming, wasn't struggling, just sinking. Looking down toward the ascending figures with an expression of horror and fascination. I grabbed him, kicked hard for the surface, but something grabbed my ankle. I looked down. One of the pale figures had reached us. Its hand was locked around my leg. Its face was almost human but wrong. Skin too smooth, eyes too white. Mouth open in what might have been a smile or a scream. Stay. Join. Become forever peace in the depths. Forever silence in the cold. Forever us. I kicked at its face with my free leg. My boot connected with its jaw. There was no resistance. The kick went right through, like hitting water, but the grip released. I surfaced with the survivor, clipped him to the hoist line, signaled the helicopter. As he was pulled up, he grabbed my harness. "They're coming," he whispered. "They're coming for all of us." They've been down there for so long, so hungry, so patient, and now they're ready to take back the surface. The hoist came back for me. I clipped in, looked down one last time. The boat was gone, sunk completely, and where it had been, the water was churning. Hundreds of those pale figures breaking the surface, standing upright in the water, heads and shoulders visible above the waves, all facing the helicopter, all raising their arms toward us. "Go!" I screamed into the radio. "Get us out of here! Go now!" Chen didn't need to be told twice. The helicopter banked hard, accelerating away from Sector 9 as fast as the engines could push. I was pulled into the cabin. Morrison helped me unhook from the line. The 2 survivors we'd successfully extracted were sitting against the wall, wrapped in thermal blankets. But they weren't shivering, weren't showing any signs of hypothermia despite being in 48-degree water. They were completely still, completely quiet, just staring at the floor with those 2 white eyes. "Are they okay?" Chen asked. "No," I said, "they're not okay. Neither of them are okay. What happened down there? What were those things?" "I don't know, but we need to get back to base immediately, and we need to quarantine these 2. Something's wrong with them." Garcia was monitoring the instruments, still showing multiple sonar contacts in Sector 9. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands, all moving towards the surface. Moving toward shore. Can't tell. They're just rising, like they're all surfacing at once. I looked back through the window. Sector 9 was 20 miles behind us now, but I could still see the disturbance in the water. A massive, churning area covering all 100 square miles, as if the entire sector was boiling with activity. "Command, Rescue 7, Chen radioed. "We have a situation. Recommend immediate alert status for Sector 9. Multiple unknown contacts rising from depth. Possible mass surfacing event." "Rescue 7, clarify. What are you reporting?" "I'm reporting that whatever's been living in Sector 9 is coming up. All of it, and we need to prepare for—" One of the survivors stood up. The first man we'd extracted. He walked to the helicopter door with that same too smooth movement, grabbed the handle. "Sir, sit down," I ordered. He looked at me, smiled. "We need to go back. The water is calling us back. We belong in the water now." "Morrison, restrain him." But Morrison was staring at his hands. They were pale, getting paler, the skin taking on that gray quality. "I can hear them," Morrison said softly. "They're singing. Under the water. They're singing and it's beautiful. Why didn't anyone tell me it was beautiful?" "Morrison, stay with me. Focus on my voice." But his eyes were changing. The pupils were expanding, bleeding out until his eyes were mostly white. The first survivor opened the helicopter door. The wind screamed in, threatening to suck everything out. "Close the door!" Chen yelled. "Someone close the goddamn door!" I tackled the survivor, pulled him away from the opening. Garcia got the door closed, sealed it. But the survivor was still smiling, still completely calm. "It doesn't matter," he said. "We're infected now. All of us who touched the water. All of us who heard their call. We're part of them now. And soon, very soon, we'll need to return to the water. The pressure in our heads will become unbearable. The call will become impossible to resist, and we'll walk into the ocean and join the others. That's not going to happen. It already happened when you dove after me, when the water touched your skin, when their voices reached your mind. You're part of it now, part of the collective, and eventually you'll come home." I looked at my hands. They looked normal, but I could feel something wrong inside me. A pressure, a pull. And in the background of my thoughts, I could hear something that sounded like singing. Like thousands of voices underwater, singing in perfect harmony, singing us home to the depths. We landed at Air Station San Francisco 30 minutes later. Medical was waiting, along with security and, ominously, 3 people in hazmat suits. Someone had taken our report seriously. The 2 survivors were immediately quarantined. So were Morrison and I. Garcia and Chen got medical observation but weren't isolated. They hadn't touched the water. I spent the next 6 hours in a white room, being examined by doctors who wouldn't tell me what they were looking for. Blood tests, skin samples, neurological exams, psychological evaluations. They took samples of my wetsuit, my hair, my fingernails, everything that had touched Sector 9 water. Around midnight, a woman in a Navy uniform entered my room. Captain's insignia. Late 50s, gray hair pulled back severely, expression that suggested she'd seen things that would break most people. "I'm Captain Elena Martinez," she said. "Naval Special Warfare Command. I need you to tell me everything that happened in Sector 9. Every detail, so I did. The dead water, the gray color, the shapes standing on the ocean floor, the survivor who tried to pull Morrison down, the mass rising at the end." Martinez listened without interrupting. When I finished, she pulled out a tablet and showed me a series of photographs. Bodies, dozens of them, pulled from the ocean over the decades, all with the same characteristics: pale gray skin, white eyes, that too smooth appearance. "These are from Sector 9, she said, going back to 1977. The Mary Catherine incident your partner Webb told you about. But it goes back further than that. Records from 1892 mention fishing vessels that vanished in these waters. Survivors found days later, walking on the ocean floor, visible from surface vessels but impossible to retrieve. Early submarines in World War II reported sonar contacts that looked like people standing at impossible depths. In 1968, a bathysphere descent in Sector 9 found an entire ship, a wooden sailing vessel from the 1700s, sitting intact at 10,000 feet. The crew was still aboard, still moving, still alive after 250 years underwater. That's impossible. Everything about Sector 9 is impossible. But it exists, and it's been growing. The area was originally about 20 square miles. Now it's 100. It's expanding at roughly 2 square miles per year, and every expansion means more people go missing. More bodies are transformed. More of whatever's down there gets stronger. What is down there? We don't know. Best theory is some kind of organism. Possibly bacterial. Possibly something else entirely. It exists in deep water, has properties we don't understand, and it does something to human biology. Preserves people. Transforms them. Makes them part of itself. A hive mind? Maybe. Or maybe it just rewrites people's neurology to make them want to join it. Either way, the result is the same. People go into Sector 9 water and they don't come back the same. They become something else, something that wants to return to the water, that wants to bring others with them. The survivors we pulled out. What's going to happen to them? Martinez's expression darkened. They'll be observed for 72 hours. If the transformation continues, they'll be handled. Handled how? Protocol 7. The same protocol that was used on the Mary Catherine survivors. You're going to kill them. We're going to do what's necessary to prevent the infection from spreading. Because that's what it is. An infection. A biological contamination that turns people into vectors for whatever's in Sector 9. If those people leave containment and reach open water, they'll walk into the ocean and become part of the collective. And they'll bring others with them. Family, friends, anyone they can infect through contact. How do you know? Because it's happened before. 1981. A fisherman was pulled from Sector 9. He seemed fine, passed initial medical screening, was released. 3 days later, he and his entire family walked into the bay. All 5 of them. They were found a week later, standing on the bottom in 200 feet of water. When divers tried to retrieve the bodies, they fought back, violently. Eventually, they had to be destroyed with explosives. I felt sick. And you think Morrison and I are infected? You touched the water. You heard the call. So yes, you're infected. The question is whether you're symptomatic, whether the transformation has begun. That's what the next 72 hours will determine. And if it has, then you'll be handled too. Protocol 7 applies to everyone. No exceptions. She left me alone with that thought. I spent the next 3 days in isolation. They gave me books, television, internet, access. But I couldn't focus on anything, because I could feel it. The pressure in my head growing stronger, the singing getting louder, and worst of all, the pull, the constant nagging desire to be in water, to sink down, to join the others. I watched my hands for signs of the transformation. The pale gray color, the too smooth skin. But I looked normal. My eyes were still normal. My skin tone was normal. Whatever was happening was internal, psychological, or maybe spiritual. Maybe that was closer to the truth. On the second day, they told me about Morrison. He'd tried to escape during the night, had gotten as far as the base perimeter before security caught him. He'd been heading toward the bay, walking with that same too smooth movement, eyes completely white. When they brought him back, he kept saying the same thing over and over. I need to go home. The water is home. Let me go home. They'd increased his sedation, but sedation didn't stop the transformation, just slowed it down. The 2 survivors from the Pacific Runner had fully transformed. Both were now standing in their containment cells, not moving, not speaking, just staring toward the ocean, toward Sector 9. On the 3rd day, Martinez visited again. Your medical results are inconclusive, she said. Physically, you show no signs of transformation. But psychologically, she pulled up test results on her tablet. Your brain scans show abnormal activity in areas associated with compulsive behavior and auditory hallucinations. You're hearing the call, aren't you? The singing? Yes. How strong is it? Strong enough that I'm thinking about the ocean constantly. Strong enough that I dream about sinking into deep water. But not strong enough that I'm trying to escape to reach it. I can resist. For now. That's good. That means the infection hasn't completely taken hold. You might be one of the lucky ones. About 10% of people exposed to Sector 9 water are able to resist full transformation. They hear the call forever. but they maintain enough autonomy to resist it. Forever? Yes. The singing never stops. The pull never goes away. You'll spend the rest of your life fighting it, but you'll still be you, still human, unlike the others. What about Morrison? Morrison is lost. He's past the point where he can resist. In another day or two, he'll be completely transformed. At that point, She trailed off. You'll execute him. We'll prevent him from reaching the water. Because if he reaches the water, he becomes a permanent addition to whatever's in Sector 9. And that population is large enough already. How large? SONAR estimates suggest at least 50,000 contacts in Sector 9. Maybe more. Every person who's drowned in those waters going back centuries. Every crew from every ship that went down in that area. All of them down there. All of them standing together. All of them waiting. Waiting for what? We don't know, but the fact that they're rising suggests they're preparing for something. Maybe they're finally ready to expand beyond Sector 9. Maybe the population has reached critical mass. Maybe the organism controlling them has evolved enough to attempt a mass surfacing. What happens if they surface? If 50,000 infected people walk out of the ocean? Then we have a containment failure on an unprecedented scale. Every one of those people will try to infect others, and given that they're impossible to kill by conventional means, don't need air or food or sleep, and have no fear of death. She paused. It would spread fast. Really fast. So, what's the plan? The Navy is positioning assets around Sector 9. Submarines, surface ships, aerial surveillance. If there's a mass surfacing event, we'll respond with everything we have. Depth charges, torpedoes, incendiary weapons. We'll kill the organism and everyone infected with it before it can reach shore. You're talking about killing thousands of people. I'm talking about stopping an extinction-level contamination event. Because that's what this is. A biological agent that turns humans into vectors for its own reproduction. If it reaches shore, if it gets into freshwater systems, if it starts spreading inland, humanity would have months at most, maybe weeks. She stood to leave, then paused. You're being released tomorrow. You've shown enough resistance that we're confident you won't try to reach the water immediately. But you're being transferred to desk duty. No more swimming. No more water rescues. Ever. The temptation would be too strong. So I just live with this? The singing, the pull, forever? Or you can accept Protocol 7. Volunteer for termination. Many people in your position choose that option. It's faster than spending decades fighting an urge that never stops. I'm not volunteering to be executed. Then you learn to live with it. Find coping mechanisms. Some people use white noise machines to drown out the singing. Some meditate constantly to maintain mental discipline. Some drink heavily, though that's not recommended. Find what works for you, because the alternative is eventually giving in, walking into the ocean, and becoming part of what's down there. After she left, I sat in my room and listened to the singing. It was beautiful in its own way, harmonics that no human vocal cords could produce, melodies that seemed to loop forever without repeating, and underneath it all, words, or something like words. Come home. The deep is waiting. The cold is welcoming. The silence is eternal. Join us. Become us. Be free of pain and fear and time, forever in the water, forever at peace. It would be so easy to give in, so easy to just walk to the bay, step into the water and let myself sink. No more fighting, no more resistance, just acceptance. But I wouldn't, couldn't, because I was still human, still me. And I'd spent 12 years saving people from the ocean. I wouldn't let it take me without a fight. That was 8 months ago. I was released the next day, transferred to administrative duty at Coast Guard headquarters. I file reports now, process paperwork, nothing that involves water. Morrison wasn't so lucky. On day 4 of his quarantine, they found his cell empty. He'd somehow picked the lock and escaped the facility. Security tracked him to the bay, found him walking into the water with that same calm expression. They tried to pull him back, but he fought them with impossible strength. He dove under and never surfaced. 2 days later, fishermen reported seeing someone standing on the bottom of the bay in 100 feet of water. Standing upright, arms raised toward the surface, eyes white, skin gray. It was Morrison, or what used to be Morrison. The Navy tried to retrieve him, sent down divers with nets and restraints, but he walked away from them faster than they could follow. Walked out of the bay into deeper water and eventually back toward Sector 9. Going home to the collective, the 2 survivors from the Pacific Runner were executed under Protocol 7, cremated at high temperature. Their ashes were scattered over land, far from any body of water, just to be safe. I still hear the singing every day, every night. It's loudest when I shower, when I drink water, when it rains. Any contact with H2O seems to amplify it. The doctors say it's neurological, that the organism left some kind of imprint on my brain that activates in the presence of water. I've learned to live with it. White noise helps. Medication helps more. And staying away from the ocean helps most of all. But I know it's temporary. I know that eventually the singing will get too loud to ignore, the pull will get too strong to resist. And when that happens, I'll have to make a choice. Protocol 7, or Sector 9. Death on land, or transformation in the depths. Sometimes I wonder which is worse. If you're a Coast Guard rescue swimmer or Navy diver, or anyone who works in Pacific waters, I'm telling you this as a warning. If you get a call from Sector 9 coordinates, don't respond. No matter what command says, no matter how many people are dying, don't go there. Don't touch that water. Don't listen to the survivors if you're foolish enough to pull them out. Because Sector 9 doesn't let go. Whatever's down there, it's patient. It's been patient for centuries. And it's growing stronger every year. Every person who touches that water becomes part of it. Every rescue swimmer who tries to save someone from those depths becomes another addition to the collective. There are 50,000 of them down there now, maybe more. All standing together on the ocean floor, singing their song, waiting for the moment when they can rise together and reclaim the surface. And that moment is coming. I can feel it in the singing, feel it in the pull. They're preparing for something big, something that will change everything. The Navy has its submarines and depth charges, has its contingency plans and containment protocols, but I don't think it'll be enough. Because you can't kill 50,000 people who are already dead, can't destroy an organism that's been growing for centuries, can't stop something that exists in every drop of ocean water in Sector 9. All you can do is try not to become part of it. Try not to hear the singing. Try not to answer when the depths call you home. I've lasted 8 months so far, fighting every day, resisting the pull, drowning out the singing. But I can feel my resistance weakening, feel the call getting stronger, and I know that eventually, maybe in a month, maybe in a year, maybe in a decade, I'll run out of strength. I'll walk to the ocean. I'll step into the water. I'll sink down to join the others, and I'll stand there on the ocean floor, in perfect silence, in perfect peace, in perfect cold, forever singing the song that calls others to join us. That's what Sector 9 does. That's why we don't retrieve bodies from those waters, because the bodies retrieve themselves. And once they do, they never stop calling for more.